welcome to IGN. I'm Alana. I'm here with Marty and Barrett, and today we are going to have a full spoiler discussion of Assassin's Creed Origins. So if you haven't played it, you don't want spoilers, get out now because we're going to ruin it for Marty, who doesn't know all of the bits.
I played a humble chunk.
Well, we both played around 50 hours of it. You would have played more now, probably, right?
I've played about 35 hours. I beat it in 30.
I beat it in 30 as well.
Yeah, and then I just did a bunch of extra stuff at the end, and I've gone back to the beginning multiple times at this point.
Yeah, I went to the beginning to try it hard, and I have been delving into the tombs. I spent a lot of time doing that at the end game. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about is the meta-narrative, how Assassin's Creed Origins ties into the previous Assassin's Creed games.
The sci-fi elements.
Yeah, with the Desmond references. So one of the things that I liked the most was there are these hidden tombs that are on the map with a golden arrow, basically. And when you find one of those and you actually go into those tombs, you'll hear blatant references to Desmond. And I think you and I found the same one first, right?
Yeah, there was one that's a total side quest that you have to find by yourself that references 2012, which was this big event in Assassin's Creed 3 where at the end Desmond has to sacrifice himself for all of humanity. And I think there's one other reference in the main quest to the meta-narrative, at least the sci-fi element.
I mean, there's even when you are going after the hyena, one of the main assassinations, and you go into the pyramid where she's trying to bring back her dead child, all of a sudden you start this ancient computer program that sort of, it seems like it exists out of time. It can exist at any point in time.
It looks like the same design of that. And even when you're walking in there, I remember walking into that tomb, there's these three just light pillars, and I was like, oh, we're gonna get some modern stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Which is I don't know, it's such a weird lore. This game doesn't really reference the people who came before, except for that broadcast with Desmond, which in theory, when they mentioned 2012, which in theory would be the people who came before put that in Egypt.
Yeah.
That's what the overall...
the forebears or whoever
They just call them people who came before, the ones who came before. We still don't really know anything about them, and probably never will because of the way the original 3 games ended up being.
Yeah.
Ezio Trilogy and then AC3. So, but what did you guys make of that stuff? Did you like it?
I mean, I really liked being pulled out and sort of who we were playing as in modern day. I really liked that. Layla?
Layla.
I really liked that she was almost this addict with the Animus, and
she also made her Animus herself,
which is insane.
Yeah.
But it's really cool because then when you're in those moments where you're sort of walking around the cave, and you're not in the Animus, you can check her laptop, and all of a sudden there's tons of references to not only Desmond but of the antagonist of AC Syndicate and of a member of Abstergo who Aiden Pierce kills in the first Watch Dogs. So Watch Dogs obviously pulled in the Abstergo thing, but then you see this CCTV footage of Aiden Pierce killing him. So I really like not only the meta narrative in AC, but tying it together with other Ubisoft.
Well, especially with Watch Dogs, it being implied that Aiden Pierce is also an assassin in some way. I think it's cool, especially because he was such a boring character.
Yeah.
This kind of makes him slightly more interesting. Yeah. But with her, she made her thing. Abstergo are trying to come after her because she made it I think she is an Abstergo employee.
Yes. Or a contractor almost.
Yeah, it sounded like she had worked with them before on contract, and she was trying to do this project to show that she can do it herself.
She could do it full-time
and trying to
and
basically
get back in.
a full-time position.
Yeah.
And they keep saying, you got to tell Abstergo, and she's like, if I tell them, they're going to take this away from me. And they're not going to credit me.
She also figured out for the first way how to get into someone's memories without being related to them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she does that with Aya as well, which is kind of disgusking. She just goes and
she picks a little bit of the body, and then
it's a bit gross.
Yeah.
But we really got to see the really weird aspects of that universe with grave digging and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't feel.
But I was really surprised because they did a good job in the marketing of not really telling us that we'd be A, playing as Aya, and B, have these Black Flag-esque naval battles.
Yeah.
And so the first time I went into that, and then all of a sudden you're sailing, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm really digging this.
You play as Bayek, you play as Aya, and you play as Layla.
Yeah.
And I think that's a pretty strong cast of characters who are really different. I think Layla is probably the least interesting. And her chunks, I feel like it's maybe 45 minutes in total. You don't play as her a ton, but the
as
last...
Layla?
Yeah.
Well, you can also go back pretty much whenever you want, but there's not a ton of reason to, other than looking through a laptop.
Look through the
really
laptop.
Just stuck into that cave until the very end where you sort of go outside it for a minute.
Knock some people out, and then obviously a guy whose last name is Miles shows up.
Yes.
So I still don't really... Obviously, he's an assassin, and he has figured out that she has this technology.
So that's William Miles. That's Desmond's dad.
Is it? Because I thought he would have had to have been too old. But
Yeah.
I guess because my logic was that she's made a new piece of machinery, but not necessarily. But we know that he was a famous assassin.
Yeah.
Desmond's dad.
Yeah.
So
And he was introduced, I think, originally. you hear his voice and voiceovers in, I think, Brotherhood and Revelations.
Definitely
and
in
then he's
Revelations.
definitely in 3.
Yeah.
When they go down to the other secret assassin.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
feels like this leans more on the modern and sort of pushes the meta further than the last couple of games have. We had those like first-person Abstergo things, and I think it was Black Flag, where you're an Abstergo employee and you're walking
Which didn't
around.
really mean much. You had that weird iPad.
No, totally. And
It was like someone served you coffee, who was the
Yeah.
guy who helped you in the previous
and the
game.
office
Like,
was
just, like,
and the office
yeah.
was clearly just like a Ubisoft office,
Yeah.
which I thought was kind of cute.
Yeah. Whereas this, you're right, it does actually like push the idea that there's still the assassin order in modern day. I don't really feel like it ties that well into Bayek's story though.
Yeah.
Like, you know how when the Animus stuff first started, it was really Desmond trying to get the bleeding effect. And like he was trying to learn something because of his ancestors, but it was also he was trying to get the bleeding effect they talk about where by being in the Animus, he would then know how to climb and do all this stuff
Yeah.
and could do it in modern day. And obviously we never got that game. It was like absolutely set up in AC1. So like that really set up why those two were together. Whereas with Layla, it seems like she's kind of just more curious.
Yeah, but then it's curiosity that sort of becomes obsession / like a sickness. I feel like she won't, like she literally like is compelled to keep going forward.
You definitely see that drive, I feel like, the second time you go back as
Yeah.
her, where she's like obsessed with it, even after her friend dies who's helping her in the hotel.
Pretty messed up.
Yeah, and like she, even at that point, you'd think she would be like, okay, I need to get out of here. Like, Abstergo's coming for me, but she still goes back in.
Yeah.
She's like become obsessed with this story.
Yeah.
Like maybe she's compelled by the story, like as we are
Yeah.
just playing the game itself. But
Yeah, like, and I don't know if
hard
that's maybe I'm just being a little too, but is that like a commentary on like the addictive nature of like games and escapism?
Probably
that
not.
Yeah. So okay, I'll
You
put
can
the
think
glasses
that
back.
you can think through that if you want, but it's
Yeah.
probably not what Ubisoft
Yeah.
was trying to do there. But on that note of being addicted to Bayek's story, like let's talk about that.
Do you think it earned the origins of its name? Do you really feel like this is the furthest back the series will go?
Yes.
Okay.
Two parts to that. One, the order starts at the end of the game, right? So Aya sets up the order at the very, very end of the game, and they have a conversation that's like, we were too careless killing people so publicly, which kind of excuses why this game has so much just like open in your face combat.
Yeah.
So she is like, no, we need to be actual assassins. She starts the order, they like start recruiting people, like you see it build and all that stuff. So yes, that is the origin. The one thing that I dislike is he gets the hidden blade, and Aya is like, this is ancient technology. You're like, this is ancient.
Yeah.
Like, where is this technology? Like, why didn't I wish she had made the hidden blade?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my guess with that is Ubisoft's like, well, we don't want to cut off the option.
Because what if we do
'Cause,
something? Yeah.
Like, and they've obviously that's happened in the series a bunch of times where they were like, let's just get rid of all the glyphs that you were so invested in, so we can build it up even further. Like they've done that before.
But I did really like sort of laying the foundation of certain staples of the series, like when you get the blade and you have all 10 of your fingers, and
Yeah.
then you go to assassinate that dude in the bathhouse, and in the struggle you cut the finger
Yeah.
off.
Well, I really like the part where the other person cuts their finger off
Yeah.
to like show solidarity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I
and
like that a lot.
that was really cool. That moment when he first accidentally cuts his
Yeah.
finger off.
Yeah.
That was the moment where I was like, oh, there's going to be a lot of other cheesy moments like this.
Yeah.
But that I
Yeah.
think almost earn it in a way that like I'm in and out of the Assassin's Creed series, but I've been a long time fan. So when they did that, I was like, oh, so that's why like in past games they cut off their finger.
Yeah.
Not just to like because the blade was designed that way, but to show dedication to
Exactly,
the order.
and it's
yeah.
like part of the
Really cool.
creed. Like it's
Yeah.
the signature, which
Yeah.
like I like that a ton.
And there's other aspects with that, like almost with Senu. And
Right.
Senu in this, like your eagle, your bird is with you the entire time. It's a character, it's your companion. But the fact that it gains power at all of these high vantage points almost makes sense why later on in the series that's just where eagles are.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's like the idea that when you go to a synchronized spot or a viewpoint, they usually, when you look up at them in other games, obviously there's eagles flying around them. That doesn't happen because the idea is that Senu was the first eagle to do that. And like this is a thing that the Ubisoft team officially said. It was like the plan. It was like that they decided Senu was the first bird to do that, and that's why they all like cling to that. And I guess like that is Senu is the origin of birds or eagles being like a symbol for the order. And I just like kind of wish that we could have seen how Senu and Bayek like became buds more intimately.
Yeah. They do a lot of that stuff where we jump back a little bit, like, you know, it sort of throws you in media res, and then it'll be like, a year ago, like, this was your relationship with your son, a year ago, this is what things were like. But you never really get that. Like,
Yeah.
did you save this bird? Did you birth it?
Possible story DLC where we get to play as Senu, and then.
Well, I was gonna-
What
I
if
was gonna
Eagle
make-
Flight DLC?
Oh no!
I could tie that in, just
Yeah.
have like a PSVR.
Yeah.
I was gonna make a joke about like, what if it was like Assassin's Creed Origins, and you play as like Bayek and the kid
And
getting this
he's
bird.
got like a little egg, and you got to nurture the egg. That's really
It's a
dope.
Vita game, like it's not out
Yeah.
on any other platform. Like
Very
that
dumb.
could probably happen.
I really liked the how they get the symbol of the assassins. At
That
the
was
very
very
end,
cool.
Where you have the tiny bird skull, which I
Because I think that's also an eagle skull.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that was given to you by your son. I forget. Like,
Yes, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
he gets rid of it because he's like, I need to stop this revenge story.
Yeah.
And then, you pick it up off the sand, and then that's where the Assassin's Creed symbol is. I thought that was really cool as
Yeah.
well. And like, in that, it's absolutely the origins of the Order. But
Yeah.
to talk about Bayek more specifically, like, rather than in the frame of the series, like, what do we think of the actual story of this game?
I like how sort of bloodthirsty. It's a juxtaposition between him being so bloodthirsty and just a constant need for revenge after what happened to his son, but then also these moments of friendship and kindness and intimacy, especially like you've
These
mentioned,
are
like around
kids.
children
Yeah,
and everything.
he's super sweet to them. Like
Yeah.
the when they all hide. And
Yeah, it was
it's
a
like
hide and
game
seek mission.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
super cute. How about you, Barrett?
I was a little worried before the game came out, right? I'd seen very little previews, and I was concerned that this was going to be a one-note character, which is what I felt for a lot of the other recent main characters for the series. And so I was really surprised that near the end of the game, right, one of your friends dies, Hebseba, and I was like, oh, I didn't really know this character or whatever. But then you see Bayek's reaction.
Seems like they're like best friends.
Yeah, you see his reaction, and I didn't care about his friend, but since Bayek was the homie,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that was my homie's homie, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, man,
Yeah.
now I
That was
care.
my homie's homie. No, I totally
The
get
homie
that.
of my homie is my homie.
I don't remember the English name of the protagonist of Assassin's Creed 3, Connor.
Connor,
I
yeah.
weirdly remember the
The Native American name?
perfectly. It's Roden Harketon. And I know that, I remember that perfectly. And I
remember
was like,
Connor.
what's the other one? Oh,
Yeah.
it's Connor. Like, I hated
Yeah,
him.
but no, Connor and Arno and Unity are sort of wet blankets. I thought Jacob and Evie had a really good relationship in Syndicate. But yeah, I really like Bayek. I really like his relationship with his wife. I thought
His
it's
relationship with his wife is so good.
it's great, and it's. I really like when you figure out the whole thing, what happened with his son, about how he's accidentally killed him. But then when you get to his wife, she wants to bring it up, and he's like, no. Oh no, he wants to bring it up,
Yeah,
and she's like, no, let's not do this. And then they off screen have
But, like,
sex, and I really like that.
As a couple, everything that they do is like, well, for him at least, it's all about avenging the son, and then for her, it's more about serving Cleopatra.
Yeah.
Like her motive is more like, I want to serve the queen.
Yeah.
And so they're really torn on that, and they're effectively in like a long distance relationship, and they just meet up every now and then, are like stoked to see
Mm-hmm.
each other for a small amount of time, and then he's heartbroken when she leaves, but she's like so defined by her duty that she's like,
Yeah.
no, I'm leaving, like this is done. And then when they effectively break up at the end, it's like two people who've like done everything they wanted to and are in like the points that they wanted to be at. Like I said to you, this is like La La Land. It's like they are where they want to be, and they're like, look, we love each other and we like helped each other get to this point, but we have to go our separate ways at a certain point. It's like I'm happy that it didn't end as just like a sappy generic story. It's like two people who like care more about their duty and their job.
He opens up an Egyptian jazz club called Senyus. It's a beautiful moment.
go there.
Yeah, I'd go there.
Then she becomes a famous actress.
Yeah, I think it worked really well when it made you care about your targets in a really brief period of time. Like I brought up the hyena earlier, but
I was super sad about that.
yeah, and I was like, whatever. It's just that they, were a part of my son's death. I'm going to kill them. And then when it's like she's a grieving mother and she's like, I want to bring my kid back,
Yeah.
and I will do anything I can to do this. I'm like, oh, I feel bad fighting you in the sandstorm and eventually killing you.
And it's like with her especially, it's like not all of them are black and white bad guys. Like the lion is totally just a bad guy.
Sure.
Like he's just a dick.
Yeah.
Like he's also just kind of racist.
Yeah.
Like he's just a jerk. But with her, it's like we have the same motive and
Yeah.
we're doing the same thing. Really,
Yeah.
like we're really just both killing people because our kid died.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like when it puts that in perspective, I think the hyena probably did it for me more than anyone else. And I just felt so bad for her. Especially she's like wailing in the tomb.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's super confronting. I'm trying to think of other enemies that I really
I thought it was a cool surprise. It was less a character moment, but more when your friend turns on you, drugs you, and then you wake up and you're buried in the desert, just with your head up.
God is so cool.
Like I thought that was such a cool, especially because they allude to that happening earlier on. To
Yeah.
like, this is what he does to his victims, and
Yeah.
like when that happens to you, I'm like, oh dang, I'm gonna get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, man, that basilisk fight.
Yeah,
That was
really
like
cool.
one of my favorites for sure. Like you just like go on this epic drug trip and
Yeah.
you're just fighting this giant snake. Like,
Ubisoft's really good at like peppering in drug trips in games and being
Edison's
like,
Far Cry
stuff's
3,
getting
they just
weird.
nailed
Yeah,
that.
stuff's
Yeah.
getting weird.
But I'm trying to think of like of the other targets that I really liked. Like obviously the boss fight with the lion is like pretty hectic. Like that's the last boss fight, and that's like drove me. Well, technically not the last. It's Bayek's last, but it kind of drove me crazy because you have all these enemies teleporting all over the place. But it's because he is like technically the first person you see in the game, I think, that actually has the Apple of Eden.
Yeah.
So he's actually using it.
So from what I understood is that the first enemy that you kill, not the one in the bent pyramid or whatever, but the one that you actually go when you meet Hepzibah and then go out.
Yeah.
I feel like you got the apple from him, and then you get it taken
Taken
It
away
is in
after
your
you.
inventory,
Yeah.
but he didn't use it, did he?
No,
They
he
didn't
doesn't-
know how to
Yeah.
use it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, that was the
So
thing.
the lion does use
Yeah.
it though.
Yeah.
When he's like, using the thing where it's like shoots out a ray at you and then like pulling back all of those other enemies. Like I found that boss fight really hard, but I think that would be the like furthest back piece of that we've seen, but we still don't know exactly where the pieces of Eden came from. Like again, is that the people who came before? Like
Yeah, those little things
Yes.
from what was it, Ace or Revelations, where you stitch together those memories of
like turning the wheel stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get those like brief snippets that you slowly piece together into like Adam and Eve escaping the futuristic Garden
that
of
was
Eden.
weird.
Yeah. I mean, that was across like I think a couple
Games. I think that was
Yeah.
all the Ezio games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Brotherhood and Revelation specifically had a lot of that stuff, and I still hate that we don't get to see more of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like who my other favorite villains in this game specifically were. Like I thought the lion was kind of generic. I think it's probably the hyena for me.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite of
What
everything.
do you think of its portrayal of historical figures? Like, what do you think of Cleopatra
And Caesar.
Caesar.
I mean, I love the fact that Caesar still effectively says "and you, Brutus." Like he doesn't actually say that. Like the line is slightly different, but like that assassination is in the game. You're the one to do it, and then everyone else joins in. Like that is really, really cool. Cleopatra, I think, is just a really well-rounded character.
Yeah.
Thrown off by her accent being kind of English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a bit weird.
With these games, I sort of just go with it.
I think she's Greek, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was born Greek and then
And
just
then
an Egyptian.
came to Egypt. Yeah. I just roll with the punches when it comes to
Yeah.
accents.
Yeah.
Like,
But-
as long as the portrayal is good, then I'm fine.
Yeah, I liked her a lot, and
Yeah.
I feel like she kind of I don't know this like they don't really explore the source of how she got her power in it, but like she ends up sort of becoming a villain, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that is like dressed really smartly as well. When that happened, I was like texting someone during a cut. No, I was working during a cutscene, and I was like, Barrett, they're mad at Cleopatra. What just happened? It was like I'd just left for a second, and I
Yes.
missed all of this. Like, what the hell happened? He was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so at one point, Cleopatra, when she actually sort of joins up with Caesar and they like join forces, Caesar, one of the people that you want to kill in the secret order is working for Caesar, and Caesar's sort of like, hey.
His right-hand man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's his
yeah.
right-hand man, and I think that's like the turning point of
Was
like,
that Septimius? Who's the guy before
it was
him?
one of the, like, it's like two brothers, I think.
And it's the guy that you fight before the elephant fight.
Yes.
And they like pull you off of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that elephant fight was cool too.
Yeah.
But the Septimius fight was also pretty cool. Like he's the one who has the swingy thing.
It
It's the fight
reminds
with Aya.
me. It reminded me of the like gladiator fights where you have in the gladiator arena.
Yeah.
Those fights were all super fun. And
I like the brothers a lot.
Yeah.
I thought those were really cool. But like thinking about it now I think the historical figure stuff is really good. I think they put, obviously, as they have in the past, tons of effort into making this feel like actually ancient Egypt. And I think they do a really good job of that. I don't know much about Ptolemy though. Like I don't know much about him historically anyway.
No, and you don't get a ton of him.
No.
But yeah, I mean, I always think that the series does a pretty good job. It never tries to I think it went a little too far with like Leonardo da Vinci, where it's like, I will create all of your gadgets.
Yeah.
It's a me,
It was
Leo.
kind of cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're
Oh,
right.
I loved being Leo's best friend. In,
Yeah.
like both
Yeah.
of them.
You totally
so
was.
cool.
Yeah.
And that's usually my favorite part of the series in general is just meeting different historical figures. Like
when-
even though I don't like 3, like
Ben Franklin giving you
Yeah.
a grenade
Yeah,
launcher.
yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I also like in this one going into Alexander the Great's tomb. I think is a really interesting touch because they don't know where that is.
Yeah.
So for this, they had to be like, we think it's here.
Yeah.
They don't know exactly what the library would look like. So it's like we think it would look like this. Like obviously it's been remade, but.
Sure.
I think all of that stuff is like really cool touches, and the series still nails that. But like I'm thinking about it now, the fact that the hyena is the boss that sticks out to me the most. It's like a lot of them are kind of forgettable. Like you know what they've done that's bad. Like the first guy you kill in Siwa, you're like, he's a dick, he's hurting my people.
Yeah.
But maybe like not that many of them really mean that much. It's the story with Cleopatra means more to me than the
Sure.
people I'm really
You
killing.
kill those opening 5 pretty briskly, and so they don't have a ton
Yeah.
of time to really develop.
Yeah, you're just like chasing down those masked men.
Yeah,
Just
and
finding
there would be a
everything
lot of
out.
times where I was like, I killed a dude, and I'm like, oh, that was one of the targets. I didn't realize that.
Oh,
Like, I
yeah.
didn't realize that was a man.
Yeah,
that
it's
I
not always super climactic.
Yeah,
which-
yeah.
yeah, and it's also sometimes hard to tell when you're on like a main mission or like a side quest.
mission,
And you're
yeah.
like, oh, I thought this was part of the main mission at one point, but I guess not anymore. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, it also does a really good job of weaving side quests into other things.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone will be like, you finish this quest, hey, this person's hungry, and like they just like give you a new one, but it's like it's way better scripted than the example I just gave. But like, or you'll like be doing one side quest and you'll find a note of someone who has like left something for their wife, who you have to be like, hey, I don't know where he is, found him dead, and it's like it does a really good job of that in general.
Yeah, and I think they do it really well naturally for a narrative to do all these side quests, and I think it's also important that they do that for how the leveling system works as well.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
How many of the like star pattern things did you do?
One.
I did 2 of those.
Yeah.
I didn't find a whole lot of them.
Yeah.
Like I wonder if maybe you get something out of those at the end. But I liked the first one, like and Bayek's relationship with his son, I think,
Was
is just
nice,
really
yeah.
nice in general. And seeing touches of that. Have you done the first
Yeah, I did the
one?
first one. Yeah.
Like they're like kind of just sitting together.
Yeah, and he's talking about like how sort of the scope of everything. And,
Yeah.
remind me of like Simba and Mufasa.
Yeah.
Except Mufasa didn't accidentally kill Simba.
So not really that similar.
Exactly like
It's
that.
just
A
pretty-
1-to-1.
Pretty different.
Beautiful.
In general. I mean, any closing thoughts about the story?
The one thing that was really cool for me at the end, where Aya throws away her old like persona and comes out with, I forget what the name is, but it's a.
Oh, you're right. She changed the name.
She changes her name,
Yeah.
and it's a direct tie to Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, where you go down to like the underground Assassin's Creed statues and all that stuff, and they have statues of assassins throughout the ages, and the one from Egypt is the name that she takes.
That's
so
really
it's like
cool.
really cool. And
Yeah.
the one thing I'm really excited about, possibly like a possible DLC thing, is possibly going after Cleopatra at the end.
That would be cool.
Because she doesn't get her demise.
How did Cleopatra die?
So in the Assassin's Creed
Universe.
lore, she is killed by Aya.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
I think that would be really cool to like go back.
How
to
did
that
she die
story.
in real life? I don't
She's
know.
killed by an
She
assassin.
was
It was
killed?
poisoned. Yeah,
Poisoned,
yeah.
you're right, she
but
was.
I think it's up in the air whether she did it to herself or if someone else did it.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Well, we like vaguely heard rumors that they were planning to have multiple games with Bayek. Like that
Yeah.
could happen. We don't
Yeah.
know. But how about you, Marty? Closing thoughts on the story?
Yeah, I think the story's really cool so far. I think Bayek and Aya are like a really, really interesting
You said
dynamic.
Bayek and Aya, but you said Bayek and Aya.
Bayek and I have a really
We're a
great
great dynamic.
relationship. Also, I just feel like Egypt as a character is so cool.
Yeah, Egypt's great. So, of course, we'll keep talking about Assassin's Creed as long as these games come out. But we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know. And for more, stay right here on IGN.